Morning, 8th grade. Happy Wednesday. This is Mr. K, your art teacher, bringing you another How to Draw lesson. And this week we have been focused in on Leonardo da Vinci. And today, April 15th, is the commemoration of his birthday. So to further honor him and remember him, I'm going to continue teaching you how to add to his portrait. I'll be using my number 2 pencil. I'll be using my large pink eraser, and I'll be using my blending stump in spots. You guys can use your fingers, tissue paper, Kleenex, rolled up drawing paper, whatever, if you don't have a blending stump. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I wanted to share with you is I've been looking at this in my studio, and I just want to add one more wrinkle to the hat. It was kind of bothering me when I was looking at it earlier that we don't have an extra wrinkle on the left side to sort of balance out that wrinkle. So I'm going to put one in. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to further enhance the wrinkle by creating just a tiny little dip or fold in the fabric. Okay? And I think perhaps I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to shave down this graphite just a little bit to create more of a fold or a wrinkle. Okay, I like that. Gonna blend it out a little bit. Okie doke. Hey, let's go to the bottom of the portrait. And another thing I wanted to do was clean up just a little bit of the bottom of the chin here. The chin is mostly hidden by the beard hair, so we no longer need that original line shaping the chin that we had drawn. I believe it was on Monday. So I'm going to blend away some of this graphite. Remember, it helps us enhance the darks and lights and midtones that we see in the master's beard hair and head hair. Okay. Now that we've cleaned that up a little bit, I'm going to focus in on the eyes a little bit today and the surrounding details associated with the eyes. All right. Now it's good that we have these reference lines still there on the face because they're going to help us locate the eyes. If you recall the other day, I had said that this is going to be a sideways view of the master. His head is going to be slightly turned. So this eye that I'm drawing right now, with its almond or lemon-like shape, is landing right on that reference line. Okay? Now I want to show you that the nose, which we won't get to today, will be right about there where the two lines intersect. So I'm just going to draw a very small portion of the bridge of the master's nose. Okay. There's the top eyelid, and there's just a hint of a bottom eyelid. There's a little crease underneath the eye. Let's put a little wrinkle in here that will help us establish the brow line, the eyebrow. Okay, if you remember when we were discussing portraiture in great detail, I was instructing on putting your pencil point down at the bottom of the brow line and kind of with a flick of the wrist drawing these tiny hairs that make up the eyebrow. And some of you got very good at that. And they kind of taper and get a little skinnier as they approach the side of the face towards the ear. And they tend to be a little wider towards the bridge of the nose. Okay, now being that his face is slightly turned, the eyeball's not going to be directly centered within the shape of the eye itself. It's going to be slightly to the left. If you recall, we talked about putting in a highlight when we were doing portraiture, and we would surround that highlight with the pupil and then darken in the pupil, all the while leaving the highlight. We would oftentimes come in towards the corner here closest to the nose, and we would carve out a tear duct. And I'm just going back to make sure that the pupil is centered properly within the eye. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smear and smudge a few of these wrinkles and parts of the eyelid. And I'm going to give him some blended graphite on the iris of his eye. I'll come back and perhaps darken in the outer shape to the master's eye. And then oftentimes I would tell you that the top eyelid casts a shadow even onto the white part of the eye, which is called the cornea. So sometimes we would come in with our blending stump, and I might darken in a little bit of the top of the iris there. Okay, we'll come back and fiddle with that a little bit later. I might put some eyelashes on, but let's put this other eye in here. And this other eye, since his head is turned to the side, is going to be a little bit smaller, and it's going to kind of bump into the bridge of the nose that we had put in there earlier. Let me skinny this top part down a little bit. And let me clear out a few of those stray marks. Don't be afraid to experiment or make mistakes along the way. It's how you learn. It's how you get better. It's how you grow as an artist. Okay, let me bring that corner down a little bit. We'll put a little wrinkle in there. A slight indication of the bottom eyelid and a longer indication for the top eyelid. Here's the path that the eyebrow or the brow line will follow. And again, there's those little hairs that comprise the eyebrow itself. Okay. Just like this eyeball is further left, so too will this eyeball be further to the left because the master has a slight head turn going on there in the portrait. Okay. Let's put our highlight in there about the same spot. We'll darken it around the highlight with the pupil. We'll take our blending stump and we'll smudge some of these lines. To give them a nice effect. Can even go back and smudge and smear those eyebrow hairs. Okay, it's your piece. I'm going to clean up the top eyelid just a little. And remember, if you erase something that you want it to be there, just go ahead and put it back. That's all. Going to make it a little more narrow at the bottom there on this eye. Clean it up a little bit. And let's take our blending stump and give that iris a little bit of value. Okay, remember you can go ahead back and reestablish any line that you smeared away or erased away. I think the last thing I'll do so that the video doesn't get too lengthy is we'll put in a few eyelashes. Let me put a little shadow on the cornea here like we did on the first side and perhaps darken in the top of that iris a little bit. And if you recall when we were in school together, we had talked about the top eyelashes being a little longer than our bottom eyelashes. So again, it was like a little flick of the wrist. I put my pencil point down and I just kind of flick and turn my wrist a little bit. And the bottom eyelash here will flick and turn our wrist down. Sometimes it's nothing more than just a little dot or dash. I think what I'm going to do is pull that eyelid up just a little bit. Okay. And I'll re-smudge that. Okay. Let's see, now that we have that brim established, I may pull down a little more darkness, a little more shadow beneath it. You can always go back and put that original dark edge where it once was, and you can just really fiddle and mess with this all day. Okay, but I think that's where I'm going to leave off today. As strange as it looks a little weird just to have eyes and nothing else, but I don't want these instructional videos to be too lengthy, too long. So I'm gonna call it a day for now. I hope you're able to follow along, and the fun part for me is showing you my way, and then you end up adding your own personal touch when you do it your way. And it's quite enjoyable for me to view your finished pieces. So keep them coming. Remember, the deadline on this Leonardo portrait will be this Friday at 3 p.m. And we will talk some more tomorrow, 8th graders. So in the meantime, happy drawing.